Social Media Personality by Fran Duane. Tanya was 3 years old when her mother placed her with an adoption agency. She was adopted and raised by a middle-class, two-parent home where her adoptive mother stayed at home and her father worked outside the home. There were 3 biological children born into the family over the following 10 years. Tanya graduated from high school and married her high school sweetheart in the summer following graduation. She experimented with drugs and alcohol during her adolescence, and she had her first 2 children when she was 19 and 21. This marriage dissolved due to domestic violence. Her family assisted her in moving out and establishing residency in order to prevent a CPS investigation. She attained a job with a local healthcare company in medical records through her adoptive father and was supported while she attended a few classes at the local junior college. Junior college is also where she continued drinking and experimenting with substances. By 25, she was struggling with substance abuse and in and out of the local psychiatric hospital and drug treatment. Her parents at that time began fighting for custody of the children, as did the ex-husband and his parents. In rehab, she met her second husband and they married within 6 months of meeting. Although highly discouraged, for a short time they appeared to stabilize each other. She returned to her medical records job and he got a job in the oil fields north of town. At 28, she had an extramarital affair and her husband left. Her parents established fairly good boundaries and distanced themselves but continued to ensure that her children were safe. She's had multiple boyfriends. There has always been associated drama. She's currently clean and sober. She's able to maintain employment. She is unable to sustain intimate relationships or friendships. At 30, she found her birth mother and discovered her birth mother had passed away about 2 years ago. Tanya was devastated. She blames her adoptive parents for not helping her get the information soon enough and is quite volatile regarding the loss of her mother. Tanya experienced abandonment, rejection, and attachment disruption before the age of 5. At the time of her relinquishment and subsequent adoption, she lacked capacity to verbalize her feelings or understanding about what was happening. It appears she never did develop a healthy attachment. Her early childhood is unknown, and her milestone achievement is unknown. She has reported that when she was adopted, she wet the bed until about 10 years of age. Trait theory analysis of personality. Trait theory looks at the big 5 factors of personality and explores why, when people are exposed to the same situation, they behave differently. These traits include openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. The traits are not an all-or-nothing way to describe personality, but they're more on a continuum where people may score along a line of the degree of the presence or demonstration of the trait. A person may have some variance within the demonstration of a trait depending on circumstances, and although the traits are felt to be consistent over a lifespan, there may be life events that temper or exacerbate certain traits. Tanya suffered from a disruption of attachment from her biological family and felt to blend with her adoptive family. If we evaluate her personality on the 5-factor model, we begin to see how her early childhood, her failure to adapt and attach, are demonstrated in her personality. For openness, Tanya preferred routine and structure as a child. As she began to rebel and test limits in her teens, she followed her group of friends into high-risk behaviors and substance use. Openness is used to describe people who like to learn new things, enjoy new experiences, and are creative and imaginative. I would assess her on a slightly elevated degree of openness. She is imaginative, artistic, and creative, but she lacks the flexibility and tolerance to new things that a person who scores higher on openness may demonstrate. Conscientiousness. Tanya was an extremely disorganized child and young adult. She struggles to get to work on time, her office is a mess, and she is prone to calling in sick. On the conscientiousness trait, she is low. She lacks follow-through, gets sidetracked, and blames others for her mistakes. Persons who score high on conscientiousness are normally reliable, prompt, organized, and thorough. Tanya attempts to present in an organized manner. She will have her children clean the living room from top to bottom if people are coming, but the other rooms are normally cluttered and messy. Extroversion. Tanya is able to be extroverted in order to meet her needs or to fit into the situation. I would put her in the middle as she is often volatile and labile. Her degree of extroversion is dependent on her goal for the situation. People who are high in extroversion gain their energy and assertiveness from interacting with people. A person who's more introverted will get their energy from within themselves. Different jobs and careers appear to benefit different degrees of extroversion. Because of her inconsistent presentation of extroversion, it's difficult to know how she will interact from day to day. Agreeableness. Persons who score high on agreeableness are friendly, cooperative, and easy to work with. Tanya is low on agreeableness. She's unable to work with a team or a small group. She struggles to problem solve and has a difficult time working with her children's teachers or physicians. She may begin a relationship as friendly and cooperative, but as she's very structured and does not like interruptions or perceived platitudes. Neuroticism. Neuroticism is often described as emotional stability and the degree of emotional instability and negative emotions. People high in neuroticism are often described as moody, tense, unpredictable, and labile. Tanya is high on the neuroticism scale. She is emotionally labile, and you do not know from day to day what mood or what reaction you will see when interacting with her. The Facebook personality. Based only on the Facebook. Tanya is a 33-year-old single female who has 2 children. She's currently in a relationship with a gentleman that she met at the apartment pool party. His name is Scott, and he has been married 3 times. He is currently unemployed, but is looking for a job without a background check. Tanya works for a local home health company in the medical records department. She has 2 children who are almost perfect and doing great in school. She does not like their school and feels that the teachers do not like her children and that they treat them unfairly. She has asked for help with her son's aggression at school, but reports it is from a bully and not something he does at home. She recently found her biological mother and discovered that she died about 2 years ago. Her Facebook feed has multiple pictures of her deceased mother and a picture of the grave. She took a selfie with the grave. She has multiple selfies and uses several different filter applications. She is currently in a fight with her adoptive mother due to her mother expressing an opinion in conflict with her. The fight is being reported by Tanya in a play-by-play manner on Facebook. Her mother is not posting, just Tanya. Facebook personality profile, the trait theory. Openness. Tanya demonstrates a significant degree of openness and willingness to explore and try new things. She has several posts where she states her interest in local theater, participating in community events, and engaging with others. Based on her Facebook profile, I would assume she is high in openness. Conscientiousness. The Facebook profile is filled with concern for her children, the life she missed as her biological mother died, and her new relationship. She posts information concerning community events and their schedules, but does not indicate if she attended or participated. Based on the profile, I would assume she was above average in conscientiousness. Extroversion. Tanya has multiple posts talking about her involvement in local theater and community, so I am placing her high on the extroversion scale. Agreeableness. There are multiple posts concerning interactions with her mother, her history with the church, and her failing relationships. I would place her low on agreeableness and describe her as fairly difficult to get along with. Neuroticism. Based on the volatility of the most recent Facebook post, I would place her high in neuroticism. She reports on her disagreement with her mother as the best day ever and proceeds to outline a history of discord. She is highly emotional. Compare and contrast the 2 different personality profiles. Facebook and social media are known for their benefits and their perceived harms. These include the optimism bias. The optimism bias demonstrates that people who post to social media believe that bad things are more likely to happen to other people, and that whatever a person posts, people will agree and like and be on their side. When comparing and contrasting the real-life personality of Tanya and the social media presentation of Tanya, it is hard to accept that they are actually the same person. In the 2 presentations, she includes her children in both her personal reports and her online posts, and the dramatic presentation of her relationship with her adoptive mother. Some differences would be the impression of her ability to work and interact with peers and communities, and the relationship with her deceased biological mother. Overall, the volatility in her personality is portrayed in her post and in her in-person personality, but many people are unable to make sense of the extremes and the volatility. Analysis of the differences between the 2 profiles. People attempt to portray themselves in the best light when they're posting to social media. It is much easier to hide traits and behaviors that are unattractive or uncomfortable. For Tanya, the need to belong and receive reinforcement plays out in both her real life and on social media. There are some conflicts in the presentation of traits when you compare the two profiles. These differences are not indicative of a split or a schizoid personality, but they may be indicative of borderline personality traits. The need for positive attention, for stroking, the posting of multiple selfies, the airing of conflict and domestic discord all point to a need for affirmation that is greater than a stable personality would require or would use the media to gain. Complex models domain, timing of events, or the social clock. The social clock model explores the unspoken societal expectations and pressure to complete a developmental task. This may include high school graduation, college, marriage, home ownership, children, retirement. There are impacts on the personality of on-time events or off-time events. One example of an off-time event would be cancer in a child, or the death of a child, or the birth of a child to a person in their late 50s. The social clock model can be used to explore some of the disruptions or off-clock events that may have impacted the development of Tanya's personality. First, there was the last disruption of the family of origin and adoption at 3 years of age. This disruption of attachment and subsequent adoption is an off-time event for Tanya. Although studies would indicate risk-taking behaviors are age-appropriate during the adolescence, the excessive use of substances and dependence would be disruptive and possibly an example of an off-time event. In current society, average couples do not marry until about 24. Children arrive between 30 and 35. There's a direct correlation between age and development of personality and the tasks that are socially pressured. The early childbirth and aggression within the marriage are examples of off-time events and overall immaturity. These events, coupled with the neuroticism and emotional lability, provide a foundation for personality that is often unpredictable and volatile. Explain the reasoning for the differences between the real world and the online personality and the subject used in your selected model within the complex models domain. Social media is a medium where one presents themselves in the light in which one wishes to be seen. If one is trying to use social media posts to learn about a person or their personality, they should proceed with caution. Although there is an abundance of information, the personal bias in what is posted and presented leads one to believe that they may know a person, when in fact the person is editing and modifying their presentation. For the personality evaluation of Tanya, there's a wide discrepancy between the person that is presented in public and the online persona. Using the complex model, it is significant to see how the off-time events in her life may have played a role in her personality development. Evaluate and describe the usefulness of complex models as they pertain to this exercise in personality theory. Complex models as they pertain to personality assessment offer additional information in a structured way to look at life events, environmental impacts, and interactions between multiple dimensions. For example, the multipath approach provides a directed view of how the person and personality interacts with the different levels of the self and the environment. This model describes the dimension of levels of personality from the neuropersonal to the transpersonal. These levels expand on the other models of personality and allow the inclusion of our relationship to the planet and our spiritual mindfulness level. When looking at personality, it is important to provide a comprehensive assessment and to be open to different perspectives, models, and domains, as one theory may not describe the person fully.